So the steps are, and maybe you can see it down here. The first thing you do is you collect the questions. And this is the part that doesn't make sense to people normally, you know. So let me explain what it means. Is when you're trying to solve a problem, one of the ways that you can understand the problem is by asking a series of questions. But at this stage, you don't answer the questions. You just put together a list of questions, and then you just check in with everybody. Is this list of questions complete? In other words, if we all collectively then go to answer all of these questions, will we have solved, or will we have at least gone a significant way to have solving the problem? I say for many people that doesn't really make sense, so we'll actually go through this as an exercise, and hopefully it will make sense by the end of it. Then the next stage is we then reorganize the questions. We synthesize them, we make them a little bit more logical, we put them into groups and various other things to make it easier to then go ahead and start answering. And then we start answering it, and we give everyone an opportunity to answer it. And then once we finish, everyone individually has finished answering things, then collectively we consolidate those answers. Again, it could be anyone who does that. It could be one person, it could be a small group of people. It could even be everyone, but in my opinion, that's maybe a little bit excessive, and it'll take probably too long. But you answer all the questions, you consolidate the questions, and in that, consolidate the answers, and in that is pretty much the basis of your solution. So then, having taken those answers, you can then just rework the answers, you know, just put it in a different order to tidy it up, change the sentences a little bit, and then you have a proposal. Now, in fact, what I suggest is we actually just try and create a proposal this way. And one thing that I do in all of my projects, and this is not standard sociocracy in any way, but what I do is I always have what I call a culture. So a culture policy. And what a culture policy is just a set of agreements of how is it that we engage with each other to really enrich the project. So bear in mind, you know, our project has a nice clear vision of what we want to achieve. In our case, we want to learn sociocracy as a group together. And we want as much opportunities to participate and what have you. So what are the things that we need to do? What is the culture that we need to create to actually help facilitate that? So, okay, maybe I can start. And then the idea is, if everyone can get onto this page, and those who are in the Zoom call rather than Facebook, so those who are part of the full course, if you can navigate to this page, because what we'll do is we'll actually start to fill this in. We'll actually start making use of this. And
do you want to share the link again in the chat for the people?
Sure.
And it's the shareable one, right? Which we can edit.
It should be. Let me just double check. Anyone with the link can edit.
Okay.
So I'm sharing it on
Zoom chat.
How do I do that? It doesn't give me the link again. It's disappeared. There we go. So I have to close the whole screen share.
No, you don't have to. You can go to the chat directly.
I do, because I can't see it.
Okay.
It doesn't display itself. It's hidden. It's underneath. So, so all panelists or all panelists and attendees?
All panelists and attendees.
And attendees. There's the spreadsheet. Now, how do I get back to Zoom again?
Yes, it's working.
Okay, except I can't see my screen. Okay, I'm going to have to stop sharing it because I can't see the thing anymore. And now I'll go back to share again. Okay, great. So, so the invitation is that we all start typing in separately into this spreadsheet. And so the way that this spreadsheet is created is we can either do this collectively together while we're in a face-to-face meeting and everyone's just shouting things out, or we can do it distributed, meaning over a week, everyone has a week in which to put their questions in. And then we synthesize it, then everyone has a week to answer it. And then at the end of that, then we create the proposal. So it means that we can use this spreadsheet over a month, for example, to make sure as many people engage as possible. So if we just start, so maybe I can take a lead. So the, okay, so how, so the culture, just to check in what we're doing, the culture is while we are in this training course, what are the things that we need to do to really ensure that we really make this a rich experience for everybody? So what are the questions that we need to ask, which when we answer them will help us to understand that? So maybe the first question, do we need to, I don't know, be on time? Do we need to listen to each other? How can we make sure people get a fair share of time to express themselves, etc. And then I can put my name against my things. Is that reasonably clear? Is that so? Can people start just typing their things in now? And what you'll see is that up here, their names magically start to appear. So when you start putting your name in here, it will, yeah, it will start to appear there. So let's say 5 minutes for people to add some questions. So whoever has some questions, just start putting it in now.
And Rakesh, when the people are filling it up, do you mind playing the ukulele?
I don't think I want to torture anyone with that.
Oh.
And my good ukulele is downstairs.
Okay. It'll be so nice maybe to have some.
I can play some reggae. I've got, you know,
yes.
I'm in my studio. I've got all my vinyls lying around.
Please, yes, maybe some music for people then to fill up, to get the mood to fill up stuff. So welcome for those who are watching us live. I know it's a pity that you cannot enter into this moment of filling up, but yeah, you will still be having a chance to learn from all what's happening here. And yeah, so I have nothing much more to say. I hope you're enjoying. I'm just quickly going to check on Facebook who's all there. So we have Tim. Hi, Tim. How are you doing? I hope all is well on your side. If you hear me, you can chat back. Yeah, this training has been offered over the next 2 days. And we are so happy to have all these wonderful participants from across the world. Actually, it's very interesting. We have nearly all continents, I guess, in this call. Maddie, correct me if I miss. We're pretty close to all continents, right? We've got yeah, everywhere, so it's kind of good. Yeah, so I think it's very nice to see so many different voices and so many different people from different parts of the world coming together, because I think this is one of the positive things of, I guess, of Corona. So thank you, Facebook watchers who are enjoying this. Yeah, I will share again the link for Yoni, who Yeah, that's the link. So you can fill it up here. That's the link. And we are going to have another 3 minutes. And while Rakesh is preparing his reggae music, I'm emceeing my way through. And yeah, Rakesh is a very popular reggae DJ. And technically, if he didn't have the corona, on the 19th, we would have had a DJ party in Brussels. It's a pity we didn't manage to get there. It was supposed to be a vegan reggae party, and the music starts.
Sorry, I just realised my microphone on my laptop doesn't really work, so I'm playing music, but you probably can't hear it. I can enjoy it though.
You can hear some background noise, but
Yeah,
it is very clear.
I can blast it and annoy the neighbours as well at the same time.
Maybe they will dance with you. Maybe
They could do.
Yeah, they'll be like, this is the corona thing, you know? They're like, oh yeah, we're having neighbors playing music. It's cool. I hear it now. It's good. I see my colleague Maddie dancing. Yeah, it's a pity. We should have had the 19th reggae party. So once the corona is over, we'll invite Rakesh again, or maybe an in-person training. And we would have maybe his vinyls following him, so we can have some live music here.
Actually, I'm going to start doing some radio shows soon. I've got
online shows.
Yeah, some online radio shows, and I've just got all the equipment I need now, and I've got some time.
I'm going to put this question actually in. Do we need reggae music to have good vibes? I'm typing that in.
So, should we say another 2 minutes maximum?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I can see a few people still busy typing away, which is brilliant.
Oh, the music is gone. Reggae music.
Yeah, it's an LP, so. Okay, so you have maybe another 30 seconds to type the last things in. I'm just going to go and switch the music off. Once I'm back, then I think we're done.
While Rakesh is gone, I'm going to continue emceeing my way through and pass it on to Maddie. Do you want to say anything, Maddie?
No, I mean, it was nice to have the nice little bit of reggae music. I grew up on an island, and so it was very close to my heart. I think there's a couple of other islanders in here as well who might have felt the same way. Yeah.
Okay, Rakesh.
Okay.
Yes.
So, I see a few people still typing. A few boxes that are still grey. Let's just fill those in, and we're done. Amazing. Great. So, if this was for real, as I say, typically what we would do is we'd go round in a circle, everybody, and hear everyone's voice. If we were face to face, we go around one by one. Everyone asks a question. We write it down, and it goes around and around until everyone's finished. If we're doing it online, we do it pretty much as we've just done it. We all do it at the same time, but typically we may give a week for people to. So, if people are available at different times of the day, it doesn't matter. You've got a whole week in which to fill it in. So once we've got all the questions, and we'll just wait for this one last person to finish, the anonymous sheep. That's what it says, anonymous sheep. This is Sheena, Shanturu, anonymous Liger. Okay, Dylan is the anonymous sheep. Ooh. Oh, no, it's Yoni. Oh, that's a bit weird. Okay, has everyone finished? So, okay, so there's Sheena's name in here, but nothing typed in. And the anonymous Liger, whatever I like. Oh, it's an anonymous.
Sorry, I think someone just deleted one of mine, so I'm just going to type it in quickly.
Okay. Yeah, if you see something grayed out, it means someone else is typing in there, so avoid typing in there at the same time. Fantastic, great. All right, so there's just one last one, which is how to manage the content for it to be applied to a variety of scenarios. No one's put their name. Maybe you just need to hit enter or something. Okay, well, that will become clear later on, I guess. Okay, so so typically before you start the process, right at the top, if we go up here, a B2, you'll say, well, when does this process start? So in this case, 21st of March, 2020. And when do we want to complete it by? In this case, we also want it completed today, but as I say, very often you may want it to be you know, a week or something, however long you feel is appropriate. So because we're doing this remotely, we then also want to try and get consent remotely as well. We can also do it, obviously, if we're doing it face-to-face, we can type it in, so we've recorded it. But if we're doing it remotely, and we'll mimic that again, what we can do here, see in this column F, there's a place for you to put your name. And then in the next column, if you see this little drop-down box, you can see whether you consent with concern, objection, or abstain. So at least we know you're not voting. But at least we don't need to chase you up, because we've seen that you've seen it, but maybe you just don't have an opinion or you're not interested, so you can abstain as well. So the question that we're now consenting to is, so the first thing we need to do is read through these questions and see if there is anything missing, if it feels like it's good enough for now, safe enough to try. In other words, if we actually answer these questions, are we going to be able to at least have the first iteration of our culture? And remember, we're never, ever, ever looking to make anything perfect from day one. We're just looking for something that is good enough for now, safe enough to try. So, yeah, so I'll give everyone, let's say, 2 minutes just to read through the questions. And so whoever's typing, you can stop, because the idea is we now really stop. We don't enter anything else into here. Otherwise, it invalidates the process. So, in fact, I'm going to, can I lock it? No, let's just keep going. So if everyone just reads through them, or do you want me to read through them, or would someone else like to just read the questions out loud? Would someone like to offer to do that?
If you like, you can unmute yourself or you can raise your hand. Will there be anybody interested in reading out?
I'm happy to do it.
Go for it.
Go for it.
Okay, so question 1, do we need to be on time? Question 2, do we need to listen to each other? Question 3, how can we make sure people get a fair share of time to express themselves? Question 4, how can we all engage and participate in the workshop? Question 5, how do we keep the experience dynamic and fun? Question 6, how can we offer space for new people who could step up into a new role / experience / task? 7, how can we be all on time? 8, how can we be more engaging? What if, number 9, what if people don't understand language? 10, how do we make sure everyone's voice is heard? 11, what are the values we want our project and group to espouse? 12, how can we show respect to one another? 13, how do we make sure we don't fall back into old non-sociocratic habits? 14, how do we stop toxic behaviors? 15, how can we make sure we maintain forward momentum and get things done? 16, how do we mitigate specific people's power? 17, how to manage the content for it to be applied for a variety of scenarios? 18, how do we make sure people don't lose attention? 19, do we need reggae music for good vibes? 20, how can we make the place more inclusive for women, children, and non-native English speakers? 23, how can we accommodate people's mental and physical health needs as best we can? And 24, what type of diet, food, snacks makes everyone feel comfortable? And that's it.
Okay, cool. So, as you may notice in this style of doing it, very often some of the questions are very, very similar. So, one of the things that I normally do is I then try to categorize them. So in this column here, in column A, we can actually start putting them into categories so that we can compile them together. And then just see, is this complete? But you can either do that first, or we can consent to this and then do this afterwards in order to take the questions to the next section. And I'd suggest let's just test for consent just to show you that process first, because organizing it could take a little while. So, and we may decide not to do it just to stick to time. So, are you happy that this list of questions, if we answer these questions, that basically what we're asking for is permission to go on to the next step? And in the next step, what we do is we reorganize the questions, we prioritize the questions, we maybe weed out some that may not necessarily make sense in this context or whatever. So we reorganize them before we actually answer them. So all we're saying at this point is, are we okay to move on to the next stage? So in other words, at this point, we're saying, right, no one else can put more questions on it because we're now moving on to the next step. So if you consent that it's good enough for now, safe enough to try, then put your name into here and consent using this drop down like that. So the invitation is for everyone to start typing their names in. And remember, if either the thing, the cell has, you can see someone else is in it because it's a color, a particular color, or because it's grayed out, it means someone's typing in there. So just avoid doing that. Avoid overwriting other people's stuff. Bingo. So how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And how many people in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. There's one person. There's one person who hasn't filled it in. Okay. So thank you very much. So that seemed like most people understood how to do that quite easily. And what you can see is the colors of your line changes according to what you say, and also this and this changes as well, consent with concern, as does this. So if somebody objects, oh, that's not working, it's broken. Okay, I have to have a look at that. But this should change color. I'll have to have a look at why that's not working. It was working last time. But anyway, so it should be really obvious, in terms of what your, in terms of what the answer is, of whether you've consented or not. So let me just undo that. Copy this here. Cool. Okay, so the next thing we can then do is we then need to move into and basically put the synthesized questions into the next section. So is there anyone who would like to have a go at trying to reorganize some of these? Maybe what we can do is just go through the, and normally it would be just one or two people who break away. Everyone else takes a break, goes, does something, and or let's say you have a week between it anyway. But people go away and actually do this on their own. So is there anyone who'd like to help me with this? So basically we need to give them categories so it's easier to sort. So this is about time. Do we need to listen to each other? So this is about, what's a good term to capture that? About being heard, about politeness, about...
Stephanie raised her hand.
Talk to me, Stephanie.
I would like to help organize the
Thank you.
spreadsheet. Yeah.
Yay, celebration!
Hey! So what's a good word for an overall subject topic for whether we listen to each other? This is about how can we capture that? I'm struggling.
Stephanie, you can unmute yourself, huh? So you can directly communicate. You don't have to be muted. So you can work with Rakesh on this exercise together.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So, do you have a suggestion? Okay. I'm just going to say politeness then, because I can't. I haven't slept for more or less 5-6 days until last night was the first night, so my brain isn't functioning. Okay, it is typing now. So, how can we make sure people get a fair share of time? So this is more about freedom of expression.
Anybody can join, people. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't have to be shy. I mean, just throw in your answers. I think it makes more sense.
Expression as well. Yeah, because I need some help here because I'm struggling. I'm slowing down.
Yeah. Anybody?
If anyone has never done this before, this is really, really, really tiring to do this, especially when you're not getting feedback from people. How can we all engage and participate? So participation, maybe.
Yeah, participation. Yeah, participation. I think I'm going to help you in this.
Thank you.
Because nobody else wants to. How do we keep experience dynamic and fun? Participation.
Okay.
Maddie, you're also welcome. Huh? Because I think you are good with words as well.
How can we offer space for new people? So this is about induction.
Induction, yeah. Newcomers, induction, yeah.
Great. Participation. What if people don't understand language?
I think
expression
technical.
again?
Technical, right? Or
I would go with expression. I think expression makes sense.
okay.
It can kind of go into that category, can't it? It may not be technically that, but they go together somehow, I think. How do we make sure everyone's voice is heard? Again, expression.
And I saw Dilan unmuting himself. So if you want to say something, please. Yes.
Yeah. No, you already covered that one, so you can keep moving on.
Make sure we maintain forward momentum and
Effectiveness.
Effectiveness. Thank you. Do you want to type that in?
Sure.
How do we mitigate specific people's power?
Mitigates power. Wow, that's kind of the facilitation, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly. So how appropriate that is? Okay, maybe that's. I don't know where to categorize that. Power, should we call it?
Well, power and privilege of power. Yeah.
Okay. How to manage the content for it to be applied for a variety of scenarios.
Systems.
Yeah, I mean, it's about. I'm wondering if we can put it in with effectiveness.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Good one to reduce the number of things.
This one's participation as well, isn't it?
Yes.
How do we make sure people don't lose attention? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Do we need reggae music? This is about. What was the one about? There was another one about fun somewhere, wasn't there?
No. I think well-being. I think having reggae music will be well-being.
How do we keep the experience dynamic and fun? Participation.
No, I think it's well-being
no,
then,
that's
right?
Different. Yeah, that's different. You're right.
Yeah.
What type of diet? Food, snacks, meals. Is that part of this course?
I I
We're
think
not
it's
eating
well-being,
together.
but it's well-being as well, right?
Okay. All right. Cool. So do you want to just copy and paste that down? Well-being. Done. As say, normally one or two people would just do this, so you don't have to be bored listening to people just talking nonsense. But the idea is then what we can do is copy all of these. And this is just my way of doing it because I'm a bit of a geek. Is I'll copy these and I'll paste them down below somewhere and then just sort it. So data, sort range, sort by column A, and then cut it.
I think Icarus has a question here as well, if there's a list with all of the categories.
No, we're making them up as we go along. There's no, every time you do this, it's going to be different. And actually what we could do is we can more or less take that list and put it into here to actually then start to reorganize it. And I've lost, does this just paste straight into here, or have I? Yes, that works. So what we could also do, so now we're in the second tab, synthesize questions. Now we can see, are any of them so similar to each other that we can combine them together? So in effectiveness, how can we make sure we maintain forward momentum, get things done? How to maintain, yeah, they're different enough. How do we listen to each other? Language. So this is the same. 2 and 5 are the same. Agreed? So we don't need this anymore. But again, we can choose which version of it do we keep with.
I like number 5. I like the one of Katarina more than yours. Sorry, Rakesh.
That's cool. Let's copy that over mine then, since I've already started combining the other ones. And we can get rid of this. Okay. How do we stop toxic behaviors? How can we make the place more inclusive? These are both about inclusion.
Maybe you can just add a comma to the inclusion statement with women and children to include people's mental and physical health.
Do you want to do that?
Sure.
Cool. And how can we offer a space for new people who could step up into a role? Yeah, that's distinct enough. Then in the participation section, how do we keep the experience fun and dynamic? How can we be more engaging? Is that the same? Not quite, no. I think they're distinct enough.
I think engaging is what we are doing now, asking people to go into the file. It's engaging. And the participation and fun part is like when we make a joke, which is kind of silly, but people like it. People, you can also unmute yourself and talk. So for those who are not watching on Facebook and are actually in the course, please do not hesitate. You can either raise your hand or just go ahead and talk, because we, I think, have a very good relationship already being built in over the last few hours.
I think also maybe number 9, what if people don't understand language? We can probably omit it because we have it on the number 22. How can we make place for non-native English speakers?
Oops, I just realized I pasted it right the way towards the bottom. That was my mistake. So which one, sorry?
Do you agree on that? It would be number 9, can probably be included already in number 22.
So number 9 I've got is how can we show respect to one another? Not sure where you're picking this number 9
No,
from.
9, it says, what if people don't understand language? Are we on the same page?
I think we may be on the set of a different page. So we're in synthesized questions, the second tab.
Ah, okay.
If you look at the bottom, there's 2 tabs, synthesized questions, and then column C has the question numbers.
All right, all
The
right.
original. And yeah, I've messed up a little bit, and so I'm going to just correct my stupidity. So I'm just going to cut this and paste it up towards the top. So it's going to disappear for a second, and it will all appear towards the top instead of halfway down. There we go. So sorry about that. So now if you go scroll up to line 7, you should start seeing it appear where it really should have appeared in the first place.
Yeah, so in this one, it will be then number 4 and number 22.
4 and 22. How can we make place more inclusive for women and non-native speakers?
Yeah, because it says, what if people don't understand language? So that, then that will be included.
Yeah, I agree. Like, she's basically saying that we can combine those because they're both addressing language.
Personally, I would say when it comes to answering them, you're going to have a very different response to how to engage women and children compared to how you're going to engage non-English speakers. There are very different solutions to them. So if anything, I would take the English speakers out from 22 and move that into 4, just because of how we're going to answer the questions. So I'm thinking ahead several steps here. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Because otherwise you're going to have a compound answer, because, you know, and one thing that when you start doing this for real, if you have all these compound questions, they lead to compound answers. And so some people will answer one bit, some people will answer another bit, many bits will get lost. So it's useful just to have one question per line. But hopefully when you start answering that, you'll see the problem with writing questions in this way. But again, as I say, it's about setting up these safe experiences for trying things and how they don't work, so that you can then see how to then make it work. And then when it does work, it becomes so much easier. Okay, so how does that look? Is everyone kind of cool with that list now?
I think I'm gonna quickly modify number 23 so that it's not redundant to the ones above. So how can we make the place more inclusive for people's mental and physical health, since we have women and children as well as non-native English speakers above?
Okay. How are we doing for time, by the way? It's 4 o'clock, and we're supposed
to... an hour.
We're doing good. It's 5 right now. We have about 30 minutes left of the official session, and then a 30-minute checkout that we encourage everybody to stay for.
Okay, cool. Great. Yeah, let's push on. We're doing really well for time. But let's not get complacent.
Do we keep numbers 1 and 7, both about time, separated?
Yes, you're very right. Thank you very much. They are exactly the same question, aren't they? So do you want to try and put those together then?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Thank you.
I think it's actually interesting because I think it's like with meetings, it's something we talk about a lot is time and how to be on time, and can we all be on time? And so it's even just like a mental exercise. It's interesting to see that question twice, but yeah, we should combine it for clarity's sake.
Okay, but I can't delete it.
Okay, I think that's done anyway. And then we can just delete that empty line.
Okay.
Excellent. So the next step, I hope people who are quiet are following what we're doing and it isn't just drivel nonsense.
We have a hand up from Annette. Annette, go for it.
I was off for a while. I just wanted to find out if I can contribute under 22. How can we make the place more inclusive for women and children? Is it okay?
We're going to answer that as the next step. But first of all, what we need to do is we just want to make sure, because we've changed some of these questions,
All right.
the first thing we want to do now is just to make sure that everyone is okay with this list of questions. Once this list of questions has been consented to, then everyone can start answering any question that they like. And I'll show how we do that in a moment.
All right, thank you.
So, yeah, so great. So I still see a couple of things grayed out, which means someone's typing in them. And, you know, this is a point where you can change my spelling mistakes and grammar and all that kind of nonsense if it's important to you. If it's me personally, as long as I can understand it, I don't feel the need to correct grammar and stuff. Good. So the next step is, again, for us to just check that this list is, and in particular, what I invite you to do is just to look at, because very often, it's a small group of people who do this, so they have changed some questions. It could be your question that has been changed. And so what you really want to make sure is that the sentiment of what you are asking is still there. So, you know, in the way that the question has been formulated, is what you wanted to ask, is that still there for you, or has it been changed? So we're basically just double checking that this list is good enough and we can move on with it. The other, and we'll do that with consent in the next column as normal. But what we can also do is set priorities as well. So on the right hand side, we can actually give it some priorities. You know, how important do we really feel this is? So for example, is it an essential thing? Is it reasonably important, not so important, or actually, now that we look at it, it's not really relevant anymore? So would someone like to do that? Or how about we do it this way?
Do we do it together or do we let people do it themselves?
How about we do an experiment and we just let people just change it as they feel, as they see fit to change. And if someone has already changed it, then maybe ask, why do you think it's that? Because I think it's this, and we'll see if we can come to some kind of an agreement. Yeah, so everybody, just have a go at filling that in. Just change, so everyone has an opportunity to play around with it.
How do we shape toxic behavior? 6.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
You have a question around it?
How do we shape, instead of saying stop, number 6?
So right now the question is about seeing how much of a priority is it to answer that, in so far as how it's going to help us to create a good culture. Is it an essential thing that, we need to stop toxic behavior because all of these people in this group, in this particular training course, they're all really toxic and, we really need to deal with that now? Or actually, you know what? I find most people here are actually quite cool, quite nice. So actually it's not really relevant. Maybe it's relevant to create a culture for somewhere else, but is it necessary for this group?
Okay.
You know, we need to make it pertinent. We need to make it appropriate to this particular group that we're working with. So for sure, in most of society, I would say, yeah, that's essential. But actually, from what I've heard from most people here, I don't really feel much toxicity. So I'm not sure that that's really essential. Not so appropriate for this particular group. So maybe I'd probably put that as not so important. So it means we'll still answer it, but it's not so important. Okay, so there's still a few blanks.
All right, so we have a couple of visibility issues in terms of the priority column. Icarus is not able to see it, and Shayna has brought up a point that she doesn't necessarily agree about some priorities that were made, so we can maybe see what this brings through.
So what did I say? If you disagree with something, what did I invite you to do? To unmute and tell and say, talk to us, explain why.
Perfect. So, Shayna, we would invite you to do that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
You're a bit far away.
Oh, perhaps
Yes.
because my phone is charging. And well, I just for this part about number 6, I find even though we will be working only for some days, yeah, as a well, I'm not sure if we're trying to foster like a group culture, but what Aegis mentioned in terms of this question, I find it actually essential, or at least
Okay,
important.
put essential then.
Mm-hmm.
No problem. Make it essential. I think personally that this group doesn't seem to be like, it doesn't seem like there is going to be an issue with toxicity, but if you fear that there is, that it's likely to turn toxic, then get that in there.
Can we also maybe give an explanation of what is it that we consider a toxic behavior, a toxic personality? I don't know. So we're able to recognize these people.
Yeah, it's quite subjective. Okay, so we got 20 minutes left, so yeah, if that's really, really, really essential to you, I think we can all kind of make up our, I think most of us know what we mean by toxic. Someone who's really disruptive and prevents us from moving forward, even creating disharmony within the group. Okay, so I see all of them completed now. So my invitation now to you is, again, if we move across to column G, is this is where you can again consent that you think that this list is good enough for now, it's safe enough to try. So all the questions that you have asked are still there. They're still pertinent, they're still relevant, and if we answer it, we can still, yeah, to make sure that no one has changed your question in such a drastic way that you can't answer it and get to the end result that you want to get to. So if someone has changed something, then you object, otherwise consent or consent with concern, whichever. So feel free to start doing that now. And while you're doing that, I'll say one of the great things about sociocracy is that it basically helps us to start trusting each other. So while something may not be perfect, if you see other people seem to feel that it's in the right kind of area, okay, let's just go with it. Let's just run with it and let's just make it happen so that we can, rather than taking forever talking about things and what have you and discussing it, discussing every single possible thing that can go wrong, let's just get roughly into the right area, take the first step, run with it, see what happens. So all we really want to know is at every stage is there anything that's really blaringly wrong with this? Anything that's so completely, totally unacceptable that it's going to stop us from moving forward? And this way means that we can make decisions really quickly because we're not looking for perfection. So, how many people we've got? We've got 7 people, and I don't know how many people are here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So maybe there's 2 people who haven't consented again. Give it another 10 seconds if they want to add their thing to it. If not, then 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. We have consent. Woo! We haven't. Oh, someone's consenting at the last minute. 2 people. Great. Thank you.
Bravo.
Hey, and Sheena as well. Woohoo! So brilliant. So so now what you should notice, and it's screwed up because I done a cut, didn't I? All right, give me a second to just fix this.
While Rakesh is fixing it, I'm fixing muting people who are not talking. So remember always to unmute yourself and go for it. Hi, Chris. Welcome.
Yes,
Yeah.
I just joined in now.
Don't worry. You can follow up and you can watch the recording afterwards. Yeah. Welcome.
This is probably an easier way because otherwise I'm going to delete that. Delete cells. Where's delete cells? There we go. Delete and shift up. Okay. And one more. No, delete cells, shift up. Okay, so hopefully what we should find is all of the questions that we've just asked are here. And just in case we want to get the essence of the original question, you've also got the original question numbers, so you can go back and refer to it. And so now the invitation is, now we're in section 3, which is answering the questions. And if you go across to column M or 11, L, M, N, O, P, everyone can have their own column and they answer the question in their own way. So I really invite you to do this quickly because this could take time. And I suspect we're actually going to run out of time now. So this is a point where we can actually answer all of the questions. So there's a column for me, for example, I'll put a column in for Shanturu, and so on and so forth. So everyone can put their name in. Thank you very much. Someone's already doing that. And then in that section is where you answer the question for yourself. So everyone has an opportunity to answer every single one. So this is where you can now answer the question you wanted to answer about toxic behaviors and things. So let's just get through as many as we can. In fact, what I'll do is I'll just say let's just take 10 minutes to do this, because really what I want to show you is the process. If we don't get to the end of it because we've run out of time, that's fine, but I just want to at least show you the process. So let's say maximum 10 minutes to fill in as much as you can. So you just read each question. If it doesn't speak to you, if you don't have an answer, it doesn't mean you don't have to answer it. But if one jumps out and you says, yeah, I've got an answer to this, fill that one in. The other thing when answering questions is it's actually really useful if people put the question into the answer. So if the answer to something is just yes, when someone just looks at the answer on its own without looking at the question, it's meaningless. So So, for example, how do we make sure everyone's voice is heard? If someone just says rounds and just uses that one word, like a talking circle, okay, if someone just reads the answer on its own, it doesn't really make sense to anybody. So it's better the way you formulate your answer to say something like, to ensure everyone's voice is heard, we use talking circles. And then you can quite literally copy and paste stuff in, and it makes it much easier to answer. Okay, should we say another 2 minutes? Again, just to fill in whatever you can. So what would be nice is if we can see if there's at least an answer to at least every question somewhere. So is there anything that's missing? So, all right, let me see if I can work out a quick script to do that. Okay, so line 16 hasn't got an answer. 19 and 20 don't have answers either. So would someone like to look at those? Line 16, line 19, line 20.
I'm on 16 now.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's been 16, so it's just 20 now. I don't have an answer to that, but someone does. Thank you, Maddie. Oh, no, she's given up on that one. Oh, Shantu is having a go.
I just popped something in there.
Yeah, I was just checking to see down the line.
Great. So we have an answer for everyone now, as far as I can see. Brilliant. Well done. So as I say, normally you would give as much time as is necessary, up to a week or something, for people to feel into the answer, to really think it through, and not to rush it like we've done. You know, this is obviously a training scenario. So you give people the time to answer them, and then again, one or two people then take those answers and try to consolidate it. So what I'd say is let's just do it for one of these questions, and so at least you get the pattern. And then maybe we'll invite, if someone has the time and energy, maybe in this throughout the evening sometime, to try and consolidate the rest of the questions on our behalf, and then we can look at it tomorrow. We can consent to it tomorrow. So let's just look at the first one. So how can we make sure we maintain forward momentum and get things done? So there's 6 answers. Being responsive and quick, supporting as we are all crew. Stay on track. In fact, one thing, I don't know if this is going to work. I've never tried this before, but let's see. If I copy all of that, can I paste it all into one thing, or is that going to really make it look awful? No? Okay, we can work with that. So basically now from this, somehow we need to get an essence of what everyone has said and see if we can formulate it into one kind of consolidated response. Is there someone who feels gifted enough to be able to do that? A nice wordsmith?
Can I